Okay, I don't know if this will be useful to anybody, but I'm installing an aftermarket radio using the Maestro kit in my Promaster. This is a Ram 2020 2500. I think it's the same for all of them. But anyways, the issue you run into with this thing, basically everybody says online, it doesn't fit, and that's true. So it doesn't fit exactly because these bits that the OEM radio mount to kind of are in the way. They have these metal brackets on them. You take those off, that's not included in the instructions. But then what you'll have to do is trim down this edge a bit. So I just have an X-Acto knife, I'm gonna go at it. Probably not the easiest way. Oh, and these fastener holes that the Maestro bracket goes into do not have these little clip things, so I pulled those off of these holes here. Otherwise they're just unthreaded, and I didn't want to punch a new hole into the dash, so I just added that on there. I'm gonna give the rest of this a shot. I'll take those clips off so I can trim that as well and see how this goes. Okay, closer look of what I'm gonna cut. This side I just trimmed up. It sits in there better. It sits in there enough, I think, to mount the actual radio. Screw is good. Okay, so this side I have not done yet. Just using this, it's really not that hard. Okay, so that little triangle bit, I'm going to cut back and basically up. I'll kind of blast through the edge of that hole there. Same deal on the top. It's really not a ton you have to take off, just like really like a straight line, and then I cut out the corner just kind of to give it a little bit of extra clearance. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that on this one, and then I'll test up the fit before I start plugging in all the cables. There are so many cables on this thing. We'll see how that all fits inside there. Okay, second one in. Up here, all the little black pieces of plastic that I trimmed off. I won't lie to you, a lot of those pieces flew off into Never Never Land. Thankfully this dash is pretty open, so they all should sort of fall out down there. That's the old radio. Here's the new one. It's a Pioneer. What is this? I don't have the part number, whatever. It's a DMH 1500 or something like that. Oh, wait, there it is. DMH 1500 NEX. Okay, so I put these brackets on the side. That was also kind of a hassle. You have to trim the brackets a bit. That's in the instructions, but then the screws didn't exactly fit. I had to enlarge the holes a bit on the radio. Okay, I'm gonna try and slide this in with both hands, and then we'll see how it goes. All right, I'm not popping it all the way in just because I'm afraid I won't be able to get these clips back undone if I pop it all the way, but the trial thing is showing that it pretty much fits. So good to go. Take it back out and figure out all the wiring harnesses and whatnot. There's a lot. I'll try and show that too. Okay, I can already tell this is going to be a tight fit. This is all the wiring harness that has to go in there. That's the Maestro box I've already flashed. I'm running some RCA cables out the back because I have a little subwoofer there I'm going to rewire. It's currently wired up to the rear speakers in there, but I'm going to actually use RCA since I'm replacing the head unit. Okay, to make this a little easier on myself, hopefully, I took off this top clipboard piece of crap, the useless thing. That's just sort of so I can push things into place and see where things will fit. The screws that you have to take out are here and here. It's a T25. So it's not going to be the most useful thing in the world because I have to put those screws back in before I can pop the radio into place. So if you do take this thing off, just remember not to get your radio in and then put this thing back on and all of a sudden it's loose because you didn't bolt it in. So hopefully that'll help me out a little bit. I'm going to try to fish back to this USB thing because that runs up to the new head unit. I know I have something to plug into this. I kind of need to figure this stuff out. There's a lot. Okay. Antenna adapter thing. That goes here. All right, first bummer. Not a huge one. Okay, so this guy, see that USB port right there? It has USB to run to, a plug somewhere, which I'm gonna have to do for Apple CarPlay and whatnot. That USB port is a mini. So I kind of suspected that actually, because this is the USB port that plugs into the OEM radio, and it's a mini. So you follow that down underneath the dash right there. That's also a mini that converts into the big one. So I'm trying to decide how clean I want to do this. I might just take that entire connection off the back, and I have somewhere in this bag of goodies a USB extension. So I might just try to replace that entire interface right there. I'm not going to use the aux cable at all, ever. So, alright, I'm going to do that. Okay, I am doing this in the context of trying to get behind this USB port to hopefully run a USB extension using an OEM connection for my aftermarket radio, because the USB thing over here unfortunately uses a weird mini USB thing. I probably could crack this enclosure open and somehow, you know, make an interface there and reuse that. But I just want to see what's behind this one. Easiest way to get to that, I think, is to take this panel off. You can take this panel off for other reasons too, so I figured I'd just record it. Okay, so this literally just pops off. You can do it with your fingers, easy. And then there are screws here, here, and here. I believe that's it. And that looks like, is that a T20 or a 15? T20, 25. Sorry, no, T20 is what I have on here right now. Okay, I'm just gonna put these. Oh, hey, there's a piece of glass. If you're getting ready to tackle an aftermarket radio, have fun. I've been working on mine kind of back and forth for a while. Basically, I started out cheap and then decided to just keep upgrading it. So I've redone my sound system maybe 3 times in this vehicle already, and I've had it for like 3 months. So my recommendation is to bite the bullet, go with an aftermarket head unit. I believe it'll make a big difference. I've noticed big differences in the past, just in the way it drives the sound. And then I upgraded this front speakers. I have rear speakers wired currently. They're not plugged in because I need to make a panel. And I have a 10-inch powered subwoofer underneath my driver's seat here, which is currently tapped into my rear speaker cables. But since I'm using the aftermarket radio now, I have RCA jacks, so I can run an actual RCA cable to it, do it properly. The only upgrade that I haven't done, or I'm not doing, I guess, that I could do, is my head unit has RCA jacks for the front and rear speakers as well. So I could, I guess, get a speaker amplifier. There you go. That literally just pops off. Could get a speaker amplifier just to make it generally sound better. It's not about making it louder necessarily. It just drives the signal without clipping and whatnot. Okay. So now I have access to under here, and go figure, it's not what I want. So at least I got a video of this. Okay, so this is that bit that comes out there. I mentioned I was going to try to reuse this interface just because I want it to be nice and clean. So you can pop this bit apart. There's no just like direct replacing that, so that thing just falls out. And then I have this cable I'm just going to run through here and try to, I don't know if I'll trim this or if I'll just glue up, where's the other end? Basically this end behind here, so that it will be just kind of like how it came from the factory, ideally. So I'm gonna give that a shot. Okay, I picked away at the plastic. This guy fits in there now. There was see this little stiffening ridge I had to sort of peel off. I just pulled at it with pliers and it comes off in little pieces. I have it plugged in so that it's in the right position, and I'm gonna lay a bead of, I don't know, some sort of glue. I don't know. I have a variety of adhesives. Maybe RTV or something easy. Basically, I'm never gonna unplug this cable unless it breaks. So it doesn't need to be super sturdy, and this thing was pretty dang easy to get out. Also, with this enclosure on the back, the cable could get pushed out into the enclosure, but it won't fall back behind the dash or anything into the pedals, so I'm not really too concerned about how sturdy it is. I just kind of want it to stay there. So I'm gonna go glue that up. Turns out I had some good old cyanoacrylate, I think that's how you say it, super glue. And it just happened to not be dry. It seems like every time I find super glue, it's all dried up. So that'll be nice and clean. I don't think I glued that plug into here. It looks like it just went around the edge. So once that's dried up, I will put it into place. But for now, I have the rest of the beast to tackle. Just a quick tip for doing this. Running cables back behind here isn't always the easiest thing. So what I like to use is just like a fish cable. So this one is, I don't know what it is, 16 gauge or something like that. So it's a little bit, has some firmness to it, and so I can fish this down where I want it. So like this one was connected to the OBD2 port. TBD if I'm going to keep that or not. I don't know exactly what it does. I think it's just for gauge readouts on my radio. I don't like how it sticks out there below. But anyways, there's a few cables. So fished it down, tie it off to the end there. Yeah, maybe. And then pull it back up. It makes it a lot easier to run it along like the OEM paths. Otherwise you're going to end up with cables kind of like, you know, hanging around the easiest path to get to. It's not always the nicest. Yeah. I have everything fished up. I think that needs to be fished up. That's the OEM harness. Here's my adapter. I had Crutchfield do like all the termination for me, which is pretty handy, so I'm hoping they did that right. So this is the interface that plugs into my Aftermarket. That goes into the OEM harness here. It's a big boy. There's not a lot of room in here, so it's gonna be a bit of fun. Let's see, here is the Maestro box data cable. This red guy, that's gonna plug into my OBD2 right there. I have my RCA fished up. I have my USB, my antenna for my radio, which I probably won't even use, to be honest. Like, what's the point of Apple CarPlay if you don't listen to the radio? Okay, I highly recommend taking this panel off. It made it a lot easier getting all these cables in and out. If you don't do that, it's going to be kind of a pain in the butt. I don't know, at least like for me, my hands aren't like gigantic, but they're kind of large. You can see there's not a lot of space, I guess large comparatively. Okay, so I'm going to plug everything in and turn on the car before I try to actually like wedge it all into place, just to see if it works. With my luck, it probably will not, so we'll see. Oh yeah, that's backup camera. So supposedly everything will be good. Everything should just work. I have the Maestro programmed. It should be all right. I'm gonna give that a shot. If it works, I'm going to, I guess, put that top panel on and sort of cram everything back in there. As expected, it doesn't work. I don't know why. It didn't turn on. Everything's plugged in. So that's fun. I get to figure that out now. Gosh dang it. All right, it is working, thank goodness. The issue where it didn't turn on was my own fault. Follow these instructions a little closer. I got cocky. I was like, oh, you know, Crutchfield terminated everything. It's probably right. Yeah, no, they had some connections that you need to configure for this vehicle specifically. So just did that and it works fine now. Let me check this out. Boom. Reverse. There's my camera. How about that? It has Apple CarPlay, works great, I love it. So now I just have to make this bad boy fit inside there. Dry run is done. And then I'll wire up the sub to the RCA inputs and I should be good to go. Okay, earlier in the video, I said, oh, this red guy plugs into the OBD. No, that's wrong. Ignore that. When I said earlier, pay attention to the instructions, I figured I can just go over it now to tell you guys the correct way. So disregard that earlier thing, because that was one of my issues. Okay. So if you pay Crutchfield the $25 to do all this shenanigans and whatnot, you get it, and you have a mass of cables, and you have to put these connectors. The instructions basically say to, here you have some of these. This is already finished. So the red one here comes loose. There's nothing plugged into that. This white 2-pin connector was plugged into there. Okay, and it says basically unplug the white, right? Plug. It plugged the white into the red. Okay. Where's the next one? Here we go. This is for the OBD. So you have a black one. It was connected like this. Okay, and it says unplug that, plug in your new OBD port to that. And then I think there was one other, that might have been it actually. It was just those things to configure. Yeah, that was it. Okay, so if you don't do that, then it won't work. Basically, my thing with my Maestro was turning on and it was flashing red, and I looked at the diagnostic thing and it was saying, oh, it could be the wrong firmware or the wrong serial number. So I tried all that. I called tech support and felt like a big dummy because they were like, oh, if the radio doesn't turn on, it's just the connection is wrong. So I was like, oh, hey, that's my problem. Yeah, so the instructions are pretty clear. When you flash your Maestro, I plugged it in my computer. I used the Data Link desktop app or whatever on my Mac. No problems there. Got the most current firmware, flashed it, and when you're done flashing it, it pops up with some links to show you, or it takes you to the install guide, and there's a few other options there. But so yeah, definitely use that install guide, because it has the right information. Yep. I'm trying to see if there's any other nuances to this. Oh, I have microphone, so that's for your talking to Siri or whatever. I stuck him up there, so he's kind of out of the way. Can't see him too much. I didn't want him to be very ugly, like some people hang them off right here, or like the clip. I just used the little piece of VHB that came with it and stuck them on there. Ran the cable down, and it's completely hidden under the dash, and I strung it up with the OBD cable back up to here. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Okay, there it is. Finished product. It fits okay. This thing is definitely not perfect. There's some gap around there, but it's pretty good for being a fairly universal mount for aftermarket radios on this thing. I think it's a universal one. I don't know. If that's made specifically for this radio, then not very good. But overall, success. It works great. All the steering wheel controls still work. Backup camera works, as I showed earlier. The CarPlay stuff works. Radio works. Everything is good. Yeah, overall success. Here it is working. It's plugged into the OBD2 port, so there's gauges and whatnot. Kind of gimmicky. I'll probably never ever look at that. I just don't have my phone plugged in right now so that I can take this video. This is by far the most significant upgrade to the sound quality in this Promaster, aside from the subwoofer. So if you're thinking about doing something to update, to make it sound better, because this thing sounds like a tin can when you first get it, I highly recommend the head unit. That honestly made more of a difference than the speakers. I put nice speakers in the doors, and it sounded okay, but the head unit that comes with the Promaster just can't drive them properly. The sound clips, and you can hear it sounds like a tin drum, like on when the bass hits or anything. And I'm not talking about anything crazy. It's just it sounds really bad if you turn up the volume. So this new head unit, honestly, I think has almost the same power rating. It's just maybe the power rating on the OEM unit is less than advertised, but yeah, it's much better. Sounds significantly better. So highly recommend it. Go for it. You can do it. Hopefully this video helps.